Like we always do about this time. Welcome back to another brand new episode of the Untitled Chapter podcast. And of course, I'm one of your hosts, Eduardo. And we got the white motherfucking rhino back in action in the virtual studio. And here we are. Oh, shit. So, as you can tell, my boy here is pouring in the, what we call Bongwater right here, hemp ale.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the gifts that the homie here brought in through. Again, I appreciate it very much, brother. But I'm going to ask first, before we start this episode, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Ready to get back in the saddle. And I heard your last episode. That was amazing. You did.
Thank you, sir.
You held your own. Seriously, I was listening. I was in a dark black booth, cleaning. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I'm in a dark black booth cleaning. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, I'm just like zoned in, and I'm just like probably getting high on fumes, but there were so many times I was trying to chime in on the episode. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in a booth and he can't hear me.
It's almost like you're so high off the fumes that you actually think to yourself you're in that episode and you're trying to like talk back to me. Like, wait,
yeah,
I'm just fucking high. That's what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, and it won't hit me until the cancer gets me.
Jesus Christ. A little too dark. We went there right off the jump.
It is what it is.
No, man, but yeah, bro, it's definitely, obviously it's almost like a new experience, right? When I did the solo episode, it is a lot harder than what I originally thought. So for anybody that does like the solo type style podcast, shout out to you. And I definitely, it's awesome you can do that. For me, it's a little difficult, but I did my best to just kind of, I don't want to miss, giving the lovely people, our viewers and listeners, that daily or that weekly content. So I definitely had to do what I had to do. And I jumped on the mic and, gave you a little cool, I think it's like 34 minute episode. So you can check that out. Episode 97,
yes,
One Man Band. It's available right now, but I definitely missed you, man, because, it's always better when I have you here to go back and forth on whatever it is that we dive in on each and every episode. But of course, as people remember, you were on your little vacay, and I feel like we can take this episode to kind of just talk what happened on your vacay and maybe some cool stuff you want to share, some interesting stuff that you actually told me off air that maybe you want to bring up and talk about it here. But yeah, man, I mean, so for one, I can say this, obviously before on our past previous episode, it was episode 96, you were a little worried that, they were out to get you, and you were afraid of the plane just
I thought they got me in Baltimore, homeboy.
So talk to me, man. Talk to the people too. So what happened? I know you said you wanted to share this story and that you wanted to tell on the pod, but the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, and just before I start the story, I just want to tell you about the beer that we're drinking.
Yes,
so
right here.
We're drinking
they cracked
the
it open.
hemp ale, and this is from Kettle House Brewery. Oh yeah, you don't have the green screen, so it's more appropriate. Mine like invisible. But yeah, so this is I wanted, when I was in Montana, I wanted to get
really
you a sample of some of the beers. Now this one, they did not make this while I was there. In fact, I think the only one they made was their flagship, which is a Scotch Ale Red can. I gave you one of those too, and then they have another one that I might crack open tonight. We'll see how the conversation goes.
Nice.
I got you this too. It's the Mexican Chocolate Stout.
Oh, dude,
and,
fuck yeah.
That is a 10%. This one is only like 5%. That one will knock you on your ass.
I know, dude. That's for later,
And I happen to be drinking it out of my Whiskey Rebellion mug.
Nice.
And I got you a mug too. It was a
thank you, man.
Rastafarian Buffalo called Buffalo Soldier.
Buffalo Soldier.
I don't know if there's any cultural appropriation going on, but if there is, we're sorry.
Right? No. We just say it like it is. It's a cool mug. I liked it. Appreciative of it. Yeah. It's just it's a sweet mug. That's all it really is. So. But yeah, man. Actually, I just took a little sip off this. It's not too bad. I actually really do like it. So thank you again, man. So freshwater, Bongwater, hemp ale, Kettle House. So shouts out to you. Free promo because it's good stuff. I mean, I can't.
And I don't think that it's only made. Let's see. It's made with hemp seeds.
Yeah.
Let's see. You may recognize the Bongwater name, 1998, by request from the owners of the Rhino Bar in Missoula. For
Rhino
a hemp beer called Old Bongwater Porter.
Fuck yeah.
And anyway, so what they do, it's just like hemp seeds. It's made with hemp seeds. So
awesome.
Shout out to all the stoners in Zootown, baby.
baby. Yeah, man.
So I mean, dude, like
let's hear it.
I just like, I'm always wearing my tinfoil hat, even when I'm not wearing it, I'm wearing it. And so the flight from Kalispell to Denver, we're already 20 minutes behind because they have to de-ice the plane. And I'm like, what? It's only 37 degrees. But whatever. So we're 20 minutes behind. No big deal, because the pilots are like, nah, we'll just catch up, right? Throw on the turbo boosters. and so we do that. We get into we get into Denver, no problem. From Denver, we get to our gate to Baltimore, and we made it in time, no problem. So far so good. Well, then we're in Baltimore, and at this time, my daughter is not sitting with me. I'm sitting with another dad and his daughter, and then my daughter is like sitting like a row behind me in the next aisle on the other side of the plane. And so normally every time we land, I tell my daughter the same thing. I'll nudge her with the elbow. I'll say, hope they know what they're doing, because just to throw a little fear, right?
Oh shit, yeah.
But this particular time, I just noticed, like, we're coming into Baltimore, and the plane is just rocking. I mean, the wind is throwing us where it wants to throw us.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, okay. And I've been on a lot of flights, and I've been on some, I've been through some pretty rough turbulence, but this was different. This was like CIA induced wind, where like, I'm like, the CIA just turned on the wind boosters, right, and they're literally rocking this airplane because they know that Brett Otto is on this airplane. And so I'm like, oh man. And so I'm telling the guy next to me, a little choppy, well, anyway, so we start to we start to land, right? And now we're and the plane, like, mind you, we're landing and the plane is just going back and forth. And I'm like,
oh shit,
there ain't no way we're landing. Like, there's no way that this plane is going to land. And so I say that, I go, we ain't landed. And then they got me, like, we're just about to hit. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to land. So I'm bracing for impact. I'm thinking this plane is going to bounce. We're going to get injured. Like, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And so I'm bracing myself. And then all of a sudden, the plane goes right back up in the air, just woof, back up in the air. I'm like, holy shit. Okay. Oh, so I'm thinking, they're like, okay, we're going to spend 5 minutes in the air. We're going to come back around. We're going to take it down a second time. And so then I'm just like saying my prayers, secretly, quietly, very inconspicuously, but I'm still saying them. And so then we come down the second time and we land, and the guy next to me is like, how did you know? I'm like, dude, like, I'm in a window seat. So I'm like, we were rocking back and forth. If we would have hit, we would have only hit with one wheel, and then it would have rocked us. There ain't no way. And so anyway, so that was that. We made it down the second time. And it was so funny because I'm telling this story on my way back. We're flying back to Denver. And this gal that I'm sitting next to, she was like, I was on that same plane. We were scared. But I did get to talk to the pilot. And on my way out, I go, hey, who's the one that put this bird down? And he goes, oh, that was me. I go, you did good, my man. I am so thankful you came back up. That was all experience there. And he was laughing. We were all laughing. And and then I had to go clean the shit out of my pants when we went into the airport.
It was just all dripping down your leg.
Yeah, it was like there was nothing hidden.
Oh,
man. It smelled like a toddler.
Oh, dude. That's so reminiscent too. I'm sure people could probably recall from an episode long ago about Brett's little incident on his actual way to the airport where he had to go to the bathroom and he had to do what he had to do. And yeah.
Ended up all over my tire.
Shit. And you gotta go, man. I understand that. I understand that.
What happened.
But there was actually an incident before. I do remember seeing a video in regards to wind turbulence where there was this airplane that was trying to land, at the airport. And the wind was teeter-tottering as it was landing and it was bouncing off and it was making the airplane glide to where it wasn't able to really securely kind of land like on the strip, right? So, yeah, dude, it can be pretty crazy. I've seen those videos, where, airplanes try to land when the freaking winds are super heavy. So I'm glad, that plane landed, okay with no nothing going on. I mean, dude, it's always scary. I mean, I'm always that person too, because you always watch those movies like that one. What's that movie with Denzel Washington, Flight, where he lands the airplane, he's going upside down, and then he lands it like by a church, dude.
Dude.
I'm out to fly here in June. I'm like, I scare myself, and I'm like, dude, I'd rather drive. I'd rather be, on the car, go to fucking California. But hey, we're flying there, so it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I mean, the faith that we put in these airlines, these pilots, these co-pilots, the manufacturers, we put a lot of faith in these
A lot,
people.
man.
And yeah, so
how long was the flight from you left from Montana to DC, right?
from Montana to Denver,
To Denver
to Baltimore.
Oh, so connecting flights. Okay. So
Yep,
you were in the
yep.
air. I would assume it probably a few hours.
It was like an hour and a half to Denver, and then it was like 3 hours. I want to say 3 or 4 hours to. I think it was maybe 3.5 from Denver to Baltimore.
Okay. This is your first time out in DC, right?
First time. First
Okay.
time. And I was surprised because like I got really not close to security, like Secret Service or anything. I was never around anything, but
like
like I was around like you on my Instagram. I posted there was a picture. I think her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. They're trying to confirm her right now.
Yeah.
For the new Supreme Court justice, and there was a hearing going on one of the days we were there. So we were just like, dude, we got to get access to this, So we got the whole Montana crowd of kids going through, and security was just bonkers. There were police everywhere. And so I was able to get a picture. I was trying to get a picture of the dog with the policeman, but the dog kept turning his head away. Apparently I was so not much of a threat that he's just like, he wouldn't even look at me.
He's like, this guy's not a threat. I can smell it.
I can smell the estrogen in this man.
I did see that though. You did post quite a few pictures. So it looked like you had a good time, man. It looked like you had a good time. And right off the bat, so if it was one thing that you could point out, like that caught you like off guard, like in a sense, like, oh, that's very interesting, or something that you learned, being out there, since you went to a lot of like cool sites or cool areas to, where they have a huge history behind it. Like, what would be the one thing that you can say that I guess you took from it and learned from it at the same time that you're like, oh, I didn't know that right off top?
Thomas Jefferson comes to mind, and George Washington as well. It's like we have lionized these figures in history, and but the thing that it just shattered my heart was the fact that they had these huge properties, and they were all built by slave labor, and the Africans that they brought over to do all this work were treated so bad, and I think that a lot of that stuff, like, there's not a big enough stories. Of course, we talk about slavery, we talk about how bad it was, but that voice is misrepresented in our history books to the extent that it should be. And for the example that I have is that George Washington's house, or his mansion, was it George Washington? Yeah, I think it was George Washington. They had a slave burial ground, and so you're so used to seeing like Thomas Jefferson's private cemetery, everything's just like everybody has their fancy headstone, talk about their achievements in life, all that. And then you go to the slave burial ground, where it wasn't until like, I want to say the 80s, where they finally realized, oh my gosh, there's like tons of people buried here.
Yeah.
And so they would bury these slaves, and so they wouldn't spend the time to give them like 6 foot long by 6 foot deep graves. They would just bury them. They would be 4 feet. And then if the slaves couldn't fit in it, they just put them in a fetal position and just basically throw them in, cover them with dirt, and no stones, no nothing to tell you who they were and what they did. It was just like, it was no different than like when you bury a dog in your backyard. And it just that crushed me, because it's like Thomas Jefferson is the man that wrote the Declaration of Independence that said all men are created equal, and then you look at what he was doing, And it's just like, how can you live? And then you find out, of course, I mean, a lot of people know that he had children with one of his slaves. And and they got nothing out of his will or anything. And it's just, it's real. It hits the heart real hard when you look at that. Like, here we are holding these people in such high regard.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at how they lived, like they said one thing, but then they lived in a completely different way. And it just comes down to money. It really came down to money. And anyway, so that was the thing that really stood out the most. So I got a book on that, to research that more. And then I got a full biography on Abraham Lincoln, which this is his memorial behind me.
Mm-hmm. I see that. Yeah.
So yeah, so that was the thing. But it was all around. The trip was amazing. My daughter, that's why we went, and she just loved it. I mean, this is going to be something that she's going to remember for the rest of her life.
For sure. That's awesome, man. Yeah. It's I think it's one of those things where, like, once you get the full in-depth background history on just, like, obviously with Thomas Jefferson and all that, like, it would hit you differently because there's probably a lot of things that you missed. Even me, like I said, I'm not really a history buff, like on the history of our nation here, like just the U.S. in general. But, like, I know it'd probably be like a shock to me to find out everything like that, like what you just told us right now. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think that, a lot of the stuff's kind of like, I guess you can say, like, the history, like in school that I remember was kind of watered down to where, like, on the real side of things, it wasn't really all like that. See what I'm saying? So yeah. I wonder down the road, like, it's one of those questions I always kind of wonder, do you think down the road they're really going to, teach kids the real history behind the U.S., like and not saying like to its full 100% extent, but like to a point where, they're going to have to add some of the bad with the good and the good with the bad. See what I'm saying? Do you think that's going to happen?
That they have no choice because as Black Americans are rising in numbers and influence, they're basically going to provide no other option but to tell the story of their ancestors and their, they definitely have a story that is to be told, that they have a story to be told, and that we really do need to sit down as a country and listen and recognize what that fallout from that stuff happened, and how that happened, and really how we can, because you could argue that it hasn't been fixed. I mean, when you look at prison population, when you look at all this, I had a really good conversation with she was actually the president of a community college. She was African American.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, man, let's jump into that for sure. That's you told me a little bit about it. That was I feel like it was a good conversation. It's something definitely we would want to share on the podcast, just because of obviously, when you talk to interesting people with interesting backgrounds, I think that's the thing with the podcast here, right? We like to talk to different people from different backgrounds with interesting stuff they got going on for themselves, and that's kind of what we bring to you just on our journey ourselves as a podcast. But Absolutely. Yeah, man, let's talk about that. So this person you met on the airplane, right? You said you sat next to this person. So yeah.
Yep. And she was the one that told me that she was on that flight when we came in. So we were on the same flight coming in, same flight going out. And just a beautiful soul. I mean, we were just talking about everything. And the cool thing that we kept talking about was we realized that we as a people we are on the same playing field here. As far as we're on the same side. That's what I meant to say. We're on the same side. We, when it comes to helping, like, corporations, government, those, the more they try to do to help, the more damage they're really doing to us as a society. They are, they're in cahoots with the media, and they're framing these national conversations to pit us against each other more. But when you can get away from the media, get away from the politicians, get away from the corporations, and one-on-one converse with somebody else, and excuse me, the Bongwater's getting me.
Oh, dude, I know it, dude. It's him. It's pretty good. I'm almost empty on it, and I'm not really much of a huge drinker, and I'm already kind of feeling it. You know what I'm saying? But it's good. No, it's good. I got to give it to Kittle House. I mean, it's good stuff. So anybody that's curious, it's good. That's coming from us. That's coming from the pod. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. So anyway, and so what we were talking about was what would heal us the most, what would bring us together the most, which would be a huge battle, is getting community efforts going back. And so we were talking about fixing the tax problem, right? Because all the time, the only solution to inequality and disparity of wages is taxes, more taxes. The government's only solution is tax. And I challenge that. And I say, well, what if you were to just tax us all on a flat 10% tax rate and no loopholes for anybody, right? Yeah. So the corporations, they're paying 10% because, how many times do you hear the stories that these corporations are paying or are making all these billions in profits, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, how much did you pay in taxes? Zero.
Like Bezos, for example, motherfucker.
Sorry. Right. That's what I'm talking about. And then not only is he destructive in that sense, right? So here we are shouldering all the tax bill, and he's saying, "Oh, but my philanthropy causes, or I'm creating, I'm donating money to this cause, to this cause, to this cause." I'm like, okay, wait a minute. There was a day, I remember, before they taxed the shit out of us, where we could build our own communities. Right. And so you would go into these communities and there would be these statues of local people who had contributed to their communities because they had extra money. We all had extra money to spend. And so so that was my solution. And to where communities are really incentivized to work with each other, to say, hey, these are the problems that we have. And Jeff Bezos and Walmart and Elon Musk, they just want their influence. And so, but their finger is not on the pulse in this community. So what we should do is have community leaders who are saying, hey, this is what we want to do. This is the direction we want our community. And of course, different communities are going to could look vastly different from other communities, but it's what we want ourselves. It's built in the image that we as a community create.
For sure.
And the more centralized we become, and we are becoming more centralized, the more beholden we are to those central powers. So like right now we have our government has a huge reliance and dependency on China. And so in the next 10 years, you're already seeing Chinese influence in here, Chinese, government, like a lot of our leaders just love the way that China governs, where they don't have the freedom to assemble. And so a lot of our leaders and corporations see our freedoms to assemble, the freedoms of press, as almost like an issue, a problem, a roadblock for getting done. And so this is what happens when you have people that have too much power. They want more, and we have to shoulder the burden. And so anyway, so that was a lot of the stuff that we talked about. And she was living her own life. She was a president, had a PhD. I mean, just a brilliant woman. And for us to have this in-depth conversation, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And she was talking, we were talking about the racial stuff, and how there were people like, so when it comes to college aid and tuition and all that assistance, she said that there was a white student that came and that was working 2 jobs, just trying her best to get ahead. But the school was saying, well, we have to only look at Blacks and people of color, Hispanics, minorities, and all that. And so they were trying to say, we can't help this white woman just because she's white. And she was like, well, no, hold on a minute. Hold on, because she's in a worse situation than some of these other students who you're saying would make the tuition assistance, the financial assistance. Why is this? And so she felt like that was going to be something that was not going to be a good thing. And so she actually fought to get this white student the assistance to help her. So I just thought, how cool is that like there's so many people that just want to help people out. And we were both in agreement to like handouts versus opportunity. And that's, I got to share my experience about, never meeting my dad, living in foster care, living abuse. Like I told her, I'm like, you've seen the statistics of people that go through what I've been through. And she was just like, yep, I have. I've seen so many not make it. And so she was just amazed that, how far I was able to come with everything. And I'm like, all I wanted was an opportunity. And that's all we want is the opportunity.
Yeah.
We don't need handouts. We don't want handouts. Handouts are actually detrimental to the cause because you don't get to actually learn how to navigate and whereas an opportunity allows you to fail, but when you fail, you're actually learning. So it's a temporary setback, but you actually learn, and then you press forward, and you so that opportunity is like a golden egg.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I like what you said about, you have to fail. And one thing that I've heard and actually read it before, it's like, take failure not only as just simply failure, but as a lesson learned, like a lesson that you need to learn for you to actually proceed forward. And now, in this situation, this happened. Now, for future reference. So I think you kind of have to look at that differently, obviously, along whatever journey you're on. And it's important, right? Because you said some of those things, like, any handout could kind of like misguide you in a sense, but now you're expecting that anybody else can give you a handout for them to help you. But it's like, it's not always going to be sweet on the other side, of the fucking bridge. You're going to have to work your ass off and kind of like, for you to fucking go forward, you're going to have to work, and then you're going to have to fall down, get back up, and just keep going. So, and I think that's a lot of things where a lot of people nowadays, to me, again, this is my opinion, right? A lot of people kind of have that mentality where they expect to get like a big break from something, and like for them to make it. It's almost like it has to be given to them in a sense. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's like that, or it's set like that, right? Like for example, for people nowadays where they want to go into being a so-called content creator, it's like they think it's that easy, cool, but it's almost like it can be so easy to just navigate to and obtain so easy. And there's no hard work put into it. But it's like with anything, like if you're not working hard for something, I feel like it's almost like you're half-assing it, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel almost like I don't know how I would put it, but
genuine.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not genuine. So I don't know. That's just how I look at it. Maybe just because I'm getting a little older, and then that's just how I looked at it before. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I look at it now.
100%. 100%. And no, you're totally right. That entitlement becomes an issue. Now, there are certain things, like, for instance, an entitlement, a rightful entitlement would be the promise that the government made to us with the original great or New Deal was Social Security. They said, if you pay into taxes, the federal government will pay you Social Security in your retirement. So you'll have a minimum to live by. And so now what has been seen in DC is these politicians have now overspent that purse, overspent out of that purse. And now people who have been paying in that their entire life, now we don't know what's going to happen, because you and I will not get anything. I think they said by 20 whatever. I mean,
it's close.
Like
it's soon. It's soon. Yeah.
Where they're saying it's going to be over. It's going to be over. And I don't know. And so that is supposed to be an entitlement that we expect, but it's something that we pay into. And then now all of a sudden we're being told, oh, you're not actually going to get that. That only helped the people before you. And they just keep going into the pockets and continuing to take more. They spend it on what they want to spend. It's insane. I mean, really, the one thing that I just couldn't believe is just that we continue to spend money, and it just never, it feels like we are becoming a third world country where we're facing the corruption issues that third world countries notoriously face, where the people pay all this money in taxes, and then all of a sudden it can't be accounted for. And so that was one thing this whiskey rebellion was all about. And a lot of, whiskey drinkers like it because, of course, it's called the Whiskey Rebellion. But what it was truly about was the fact that we had just come out of the Revolutionary War, and the reason we fought in the Revolutionary War against the British was because they kept taxing us, and they said we want taxation with representation.
Yeah.
So the king continued to want taxes from us, but it was like in today's society where we don't know where any of this money is going. We have so much money that's just enriching all these politicians and lobbyists and, you know, all this stuff. And we have nothing to show for it. Our streets are crumbled. Our schools suck. Our prisons are filled. And we've never seen a greater disparity in wages since the 20s, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just getting worse. And this is how third world countries operate. And I don't see anything changing. In fact, I see it getting worse, where the middle class will continue to erode, and there's only going to be the rich and the poor. And
that's how I see it too, man.
When it gets bad. So I think it's time to have a revolution.
As he sips on his drink there. No, man, but you know, just to go along with what you're saying though, and we were talking a little bit about this, you know, when we talk just through Instagram, you know, when we DM each other. It's so mind-blowing that they can put billions, quote, billions with a B, as Brett, and, you know, we can help out Ukraine. Mind you, not the issue with helping out Ukraine, right? But the fact that they can print out billions of dollars to help another country, but for here, crickets.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't know if it's just me. Like, I'm like,
insane.
Does anybody not see this here? Like, I don't get it. Like, I do not fucking get it. And you can do so much with I don't know how much exactly it was, right? But it would help out a lot here too. So it's like,
absolutely.
Hello? What the fuck? I don't get it.
I know.
Hey, man, Pac was right. R.I.P. Pac. Got money for wars, but can't feed the poor.
Oh,
bars, bro.
Man.
Bars. That's fucking bars right there.
So true.
That's fucking insane, man.
The line that kept, so I was, Biggie, of course, was, you know, Here I Am in DC, right? And so he had the song Get Money with Junior Mafia.
Yeah.
Junior Mafia's track. They knew about me, the fake ID. Cases in Virginia, body in DC. Oh man, I was just like, I was reciting that line nonstop. Oh my god, dude, I'm telling you, I was so glad that I didn't go through with this, but I almost embarrassed myself greatly. We were at the Vietnam Memorial, right? Yeah. And of course, so you know, we're with you know, class full of 8th graders, a handful of parents. And I almost got my cell phone out, pulled out Creedence Clearwater, Fortunate Son to play in the background. You know, the song that plays in every Vietnam movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I am so glad I didn't, because I would have just been so embarrassed, because, you know, people are there for a real reason. I was looking, I knew someone who fought in Vietnam. And the cool thing about the Vietnam Memorial is, not only did they print the people who had perished or had not been found, but they also printed the names on the wall of people who served in Vietnam, which is not common. But the reason why they did that was because when they came back, of course, they were drafted, a lot of people against their will, right? They didn't want to fight in Vietnam about this war that we're like, what the fuck are we fighting this war for? You know, and it was a terrible war. I mean, it was just, all war is terrible. All of it is, but fucking A, drafting our kids. And so then when they came back, they were getting spit on, you know, and just the people that didn't go to war, you know, when these soldiers would return, they'd spit on them, get told they were pieces of shit, piles of garbage, and just no respect whatsoever. And these are people that didn't want to go anyway. And then they're coming home and being treated like shit against their own countrymen. And so anyway, so they put their names on the wall too. So and I've known a couple Vietnam vets, and but I was looking for one name and I couldn't find him, but pretty crazy.
Yeah, man. I think it's so surreal to just look at that stuff, to think, you know, just like, you know, the people that, you know, went through World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, all that stuff. It's like, damn, dude, you just imagine living through that time to know, like, here we are, our country going to war and all that. And, some people aren't going to make it back. And it just, especially the families have to go through, losing, their loved ones. It's insane to think of that, man. And then, here we are, fast forward to 2022 with what's going on in Ukraine and all that. I mean, can we get involved? Can it be where we go to war now too? I mean, dude, it's like you would say, it's dicey right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's insane, man. It's insane, especially with Afghanistan too. What happened there? That war that lasted all that, so many years,
20 years.
It's fucking crazy, dude. I mean, dude, we were saying, sorry, man.
No, it seems like we're at this point now, at this juncture in American history where you can look back and you can start to question, like, does America know anything other than war? Like, is diplomacy now out the window? Where if if another country doesn't agree to American terms, we just don't take them to war? Fucking insane. We right. have become. I mean, I was telling my wife, of course, she's a citizen now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, America is a monster. We are like an evil, diabolical monster, and I understand why so many countries hate us. Is because we involve ourselves in everything, and we, and of course they have the media all bought off, where they're like, hey, we're doing this to help the Ukrainians, we're doing this to help this, and we're regime change, and so where they had all these 7 Middle Eastern countries after we invaded Iraq, it was just like Saddam. There was Syria. We couldn't get Syria. Bashar, I forget his name. He's still in there. We couldn't topple him. But Egypt, we got Egypt out, and we had all these regime changes that were in America's interest. That we were successful with a lot of that. It's just insane. We've become a monster.
It's like we're the big bully on the block, and we got to prove that we got the bigger stick in a sense, I guess. And then I just feel like we have to, like, it almost seems like to me that the U.S. is kind of like the police officer and things where, if it's something that we feel like we should even go to war for, or if it's something that, we don't really got to prove to anybody. I mean, I just don't get why we got to stick our nose into stuff that we don't need to, be putting our fucking business into, or minding our own business, I guess you can say, right? Unless needed. Granted, if they attacked us, we definitely have to fight back, at that point. But if it's any other stuff,
yeah,
why?
The whole thing, like, we should have never invaded Iraq in the first place. And they knew it was a lie anyway about the weapons of mass destruction. Our mission in the Middle East was to get payback for the Twin Towers, right? When the planes hitting the towers. But guess what? When it was all designed on a false premise anyway, where we knew that Saudi Arabia had something to do with it, but it was crickets dealing with them because oil. And so we, here we are knowing that Saudi Arabia was at least helping some of these hijackers get over here, and we didn't even touch them. And then we go into a country that had nothing to do. In fact, they were against the Taliban as well. Saddam Hussein did not want the Taliban in his country, and he was killing them. And yet we go in there and kill him.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with it. Like, dude, our mission is Osama bin Laden. Kill the motherfucker and get out. We're fucking done.
In and out, baby. In and out. Simple, short, and sweet. What have we got to put more emphasis on that? You know what I'm saying? So it's fucking crazy though. Yeah, it's just insane. It's it was a 20+ year war, and then for what? What did we gain from it? And I just it's fucking crazy. All that money spent. That's just the thing that even roused me up. Like, all that money spent, all those casualties. Like, dude, for what, man? For what?
Yeah.
I don't get it. But hey,
yeah,
I'm just a little fucking fish in a pond. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah. Well, we have a voice, though. We have a voice.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine that we're the only ones that feel this way. And so, for those people, like, we get it, you get it. And we've just got to continue talking about this and continue to hold our government accountable for all this stuff. And I hope to God that we don't get involved in Ukraine. I mean, because it's like, and don't get me wrong, what is happening to the Ukrainians right now is horrific. It's horrific.
It's fucking crazy.
But it's not our battle. It's just not our battle. And it would be like if Canada or Mexico, one of our neighboring countries, decided to invade us. Are we going to rely on Ukraine to come to our aid.
That's our beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do why do we have to involve anybody else in our beef? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I look at it, right? If it's not our own backyard, why? You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're gonna travel fucking X amount of miles to go somebody else's backyard and fight somebody else's battles. I don't think it should be like that, right? You know what I'm saying? But I mean,
and believe me, it's taking some restraint right now. But the Bongwater really makes me want to go into the conspiracy side of this. I'm gonna refrain. I'm gonna be good today. But
dude, it's good. It's good.
I think there's a lot more to this Ukraine issue than the media is allowing. And all I'm saying is just wait until midterms when the Republicans get the majority and they start really doing some investigations on Hunter Biden and his laptop and his deal with Burisma in Ukraine, the energy company. John Kerry has a son doing business with an energy company in Ukraine. There's a lot of dirty money going on. So
yeah, so that did come up, right? They did come up, right? I mean, with the whole Hunter Biden's fucking laptop, it came up recently in the news. I didn't really get into it, but it seems like they're trying to bring that to light now. They're trying to put it up there, on the front line again. So
the reason why it got brought up is because, so in the 2020 election,
mm-hmm.
the October surprise was Hunter's laptop, and they were like, oh my God, he was high on crack and he took it to this Delaware computer repair shop and he never came back. He was so high on crack that he forgot that that he took his laptop in. I'm fucking not even lying. This is the truth. And so
that crack will do that to you, man, especially that coke too. You know what I'm saying? It's like you on coke and you forget your keys, but you're like, how did I get my car? Oh, wait, I fucking picklocked my own car to get into it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's like the same, apples to apples right there. So, yeah, so that's why I don't fault Hunter Biden for his crack addiction.
Yeah, man. It's like, I know.
For having all the dirty shit on his laptop.
What a fucking dude.
That's what I fault him on. Hey, crazy. You want to do crack, homie? You can do crack. I don't give
just don't fucking forget all that confidential shit on your fucking laptop, especially just taking it to a Delaware fucking repair shop or laptop repair shop or whatever.
So the October surprise was the fact that Rudy Giuliani this laptop repair company, I don't know how, ended up calling Rudy Giuliani.
They're tapping in the internet. There was a glitch. Oh shit! They're listening to us.
Yeah,
they're listening to us. But as you were saying, no.
Oh well, I was just saying. So this laptop repair company ended up calling Rudy Giuliani and giving it to him. And then Rudy Giuliani tried giving it to the FBI. The FBI raided Rudy Giuliani's apartment, and they took like all his electronic devices except for the Hunter laptop. And he's like, hey, don't you want this? And they're like, no, we don't want that. He's like, but it's the Hunter Biden laptop. And the FBI didn't want it. They wanted all the other stuff because they were trying to get all this dirt on Trump. And so during that time, we know that the media kept calling it Russian disinformation, that it was all fake news about this laptop. Well, finally, so much evidence has been presented that the New York Times last week finally had to acknowledge that the shit was real. Like, oh God. And so they're trying to get ahead of this whole thing, because now they're trying to frame it as, well, he's just a guy with some problems and he may have fucked up. So
too much crack. I mean, fuck, dude smoking fucking, powdered up coke and shit. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck?
Yeah. And isn't it ironic that Biden put out like crack pipes and all this like health
coincidence?
Thing. Do you remember that?
I remember that. I'm like, how can we not talk about that? What the fuck? A fucking president would say free crack pipes? I don't fucking get that. I don't fucking get that.
I wanted to go to my local health department and see if I could get a Biden crack pipe.
What you should have done is you should have fucking filmed a little short video on your GoPro. I'm like, here we go, Brett from the Statistics Podcast. I'm gonna see if I can get myself a free crack pipe from our fucking lovely president.
It would have been fucking beautiful. Yeah, I may have even voted for him if he would have. If I could have got a crack pipe.
Dude, I'm just kidding. That is crazy. But yeah, man, it is coincidence that they're bringing that up again. and now they're looking into it. Before it was like it's not of interest, right, for the FBI to look into this stuff, but now it's of interest. So I wonder, man, we gotta stay tuned and kind of keep our eyes on that and see what happens with that. But you have a feeling that has a connection with the whole Ukraine thing, right? Like on the conspiratorial tip, right?
There's a lot of dirty money in Ukraine, and Ukraine is, I don't care. Like, this isn't anything against the people. Nothing, not against the people at all. The people of Ukraine deserve our love and our donations and everything that we can offer, right? But the fucking government is corrupt. There's just no way around it. Right? They have a dirty political system over there.
Fuck that.
And and we're talking Zelensky himself, where he will not allow people of differing opinions to air anything on the air. If his name was Trump, right, they would have hung him out to dry. But it's crazy. But yeah, it's a very corrupt country, very corrupt, and we really have no business going to war with Russia, who has nukes. And I'm telling you, the longer this thing goes, the more and more concerned I am of us getting some sort of an attack from Russia. I think that as they become more and more isolated and less diplomacy is working, then eventually something's going to happen on American soil. And I hope to God not, but how can it not be when you have Biden over there continuing to stoke the flames and poke the bear, the Russian bear, and and knowing like we've never had an adversary. We've never fought someone on Russian level that has nukes this close to war, other than the Cold War in the 60s under JFK.
Yeah. I mean, in regards to that, right, going to war with Russia, I did read a little bit about how even like some high level people, like some high people up there that have like, that are pretty wealthy, right? They were saying that they were trying to actually put Putin out of position of that power, but it's like, how can you get to him? Like, I don't get how you would even do that, because they were pretty much fucking up the bag for those people, like you're fucking up our shit. Why, and then there was this one gentleman that was saying that he had relatives over in Ukraine, and it's like he's not with it, but yet, this thing's still happening. Obviously, he's not, Putin's not letting off the gas with all this happening. So it's like things are brewing within that itself too. I think it's definitely taking a toll for everybody, to the point where are we gonna see something? Maybe somebody's gonna try to take him out of that seat of power. I mean, what do you think?
I don't think so. I think he has a very strong, not to say like, when Hitler was in power, there were attempts on his life. But, Russia, Putin is KGB. He knows how to handle this stuff. He knows how to do this. And it's very much like with Biden in our country, how, our gas prices have just shot through the roof, and where Americans are struggling to even get the necessities. And his approval is what, 30% right now in America. No bueno. So many, and we're thank God in a democracy still. But Russia, dude, his support could go to 5%. And as the dictator of his country, he's going to do what he feels like he wants to do. He's getting older. There's, what has he got to lose? He's got his whole, he wants to leave behind a legacy that is much bigger than what his predecessors have been able to accomplish ever since the fall of the Soviet Union in the 90s. Was it the 80s? The 80s.
80s, I think, yeah.
And he's just felt like, what? I ain't going out like that. Like, that's his inner Cypress Hill. I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out.
Yeah. He wants to go out with a fucking bang, I guess you could say. But yeah, man.
I hope to God not, though.
Total travesty, man. It's obviously, it sucks for the innocent people that are caught up with this. And, obviously you have people in Russia that don't even want this as well. You see a lot of protests still happening, day by day. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that just, are not with this, and they don't want this shit to happen. Of course, us here, we don't, like, it's all about, what is it? Peace, not war, baby. We're taking it back to the 70s, 80s. You know what I'm saying?
We have to also, as Americans, understand that what we're seeing is Western media. We are not seeing the other side of this,
Mhm.
and so there may be very valid reasons. Like for instance, Russia. So Ukraine has said that they want nukes in their country, and and then they want to be a part of NATO. So then what that does is that puts NATO right at Putin's doorstep, right at Russia's doorstep.
Yeah.
And he's made it very clear that is my red line. You are not getting a NATO nation on my doorstep as my neighboring country. It's not going to happen.
So this pretty much boils down. I'm starting to understand it, right? Because I kind of need to really get like a vivid picture painted so I can understand and grasp the situation on why this war is happening. He pretty much wants to have it where nobody can really invade his country, if it gets to that point, right? And he wants to have Ukraine under his reign to where, like you said, if Ukraine joins NATO and they have weapons that they could use, that would pretty much be on the upper hand for everybody in NATO, and more or less like a benefit for Russia. That would be pretty much pinned down, right?
Yep.
Okay, pretty much.
If Ukraine was a NATO nation, then all of this stuff that had happened, we would already be at war with Russia. It would be World War III.
Crazy, man. Well, let's not hope it goes that route, man. I guess we'll definitely just talk about it till see what happens. I mean, day by day, it's always just fucking casualties happening, and it's insane. But on the more humorous side of things, obviously it's kind of hard to really add a little humor to this, obviously in regards to war. But that post I sent you, right? What did you think about the little post I sent you in regards to how some Russian troops are like shooting themselves for them not to be involved in war? Like, what the fuck?
That's like, that's like,
oh my,
the Russian version of Trump saying that he had bone spurs, and Bill Clinton running to Canada, fleeing to Canada when there was the draft. Vietnam, right? It was like they were able to take the easy way out, but Russia, these kids, they're like, dude, I'm not fighting my own people. Like those are my people in Ukraine. They've got family. I'm just gonna shoot my fucking foot.
Fucking one to the fucking leg. Fuck, man.
What do you tell your fucking superiors?
Your grandkids or your fucking kids? Like, dude, I went out like, gee, man, fuck that, dude. But I get it, man. I get it.
I get it too, man. That gave me an idea. If I get drafted, I might shoot myself in the damn.
What's the limit for us? Can we still get drafted?
Oh yeah, that's why we sign when we turn 18. We have to.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
But
I thought we were.
I'm telling you right now, and the only time I would fight for this country is if there's an invasion on our soil.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'll do it. But if you're gonna fucking draft me to go to another fucking country and do another regime change, no, my foot's getting shot the fuck off.
Boom.
Yeah. Fuck that.
You're like, I don't even need it.
Yeah, right. I'd be drinking some Bongwater. All right, boys. You want to shoot it or you want me to?
Oh, I can just see like you walking with one of those fucking prosthetic legs, dude. And what add more character to you, dude? You would be so much more fucking badass like that, dude.
Fuck yeah.
You're like,
I ain't
see this, boys?
fucking
You
rich man's wars.
You like knock on it, it's like fucking wood.
Yep.
Oh fuck, but yeah, man, it's fucking crazy though. I mean, I for some reason thought we were out in the clear that we couldn't get drafted because of our age, but I guess, hey, fuck, if it happens, it happens. I mean, we gotta fucking go do what we gotta do to protect our fucking lovely country here, right? Like I said,
there is
if they invade us, for sure. Like I said, anybody else's beef, nope, rest of here.
Yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying,
shit.
Almost swallowed my Bongwater. No, I finished this again. I'm feeling cool. This was good. This was good. I actually I would say out of a score from out of 5, I would put it at a fucking. Honestly, I would give it a 5. I like it.
Wow.
Straight up, no, I do like it. I do like it. Like I was thinking about it. Like I was thinking like, damn, this is actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's got like a little bit of a sweet taste to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's your hemp ale.
Dude,
yeah, so it's an ale.
Sponsorship
Fresh
right there.
Bongwater.
Cough. Hopefully sponsorship, you know what I'm saying? Fucking throw it our way. Shit. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Good shit though.
yeah,
Thank you
that's
again for thank you again for bringing it to me, man. I appreciate that. You got me some other lovely gifts, like you said. Two other ones that I'll definitely save for the next episode for sure. And then my cool
yeah.
mug. And yeah, man, definitely. It's awesome of you. But yeah, bro, I'm glad I'm glad you had an awesome time. Definitely missed you on the last episode. Obviously, it's always more of a kick, when we do this joined, just me and you going back and forth on episodes, and it's always just more, I guess, like I don't feel like a loser talking to myself. That's how I felt. So it was kind of hard for me to kind of get in my zone to do a
You
solo episode, but hey, I did my best, right?
It was good. No, seriously, like you were talking about the one guy that had all these health issues, so he
dude,
got abducted. He was talking about the abduction, and then he had all these health issues, and it's right. Like, who would fucking lie about this stuff, right?
right?
Especially given that what his liver was going out, his kidneys,
Yeah,
his
cancer or
heart,
something like that.
yeah, cancer and all
Fuck,
that. I mean,
dude.
all in one thing. And I'm like, what kind of fucking holy CIA is going on here? You know,
It's fucking
like,
wild,
dude,
man. I'm telling you, it's just like all at once happened, and for him, I think he even said something about just, I'm not gaining nothing from this. Like, it's not like I'm fucking gonna make money from it. I'm just telling you what happened,
right.
and that's what we saw. So, I mean, there's other similar stories like that, man, that just kind of make you wonder, like, well, what's really going on out there? Are these people really seeing something that just, only a selected few people going through this type of situation? So I don't know, man. I always like to just dive into those things because it's one of those stuff that like, just keeps the hamster wheel spinning. And for me, it's interesting, and then that's kind of one of the stuff that I like to talk about when I find and come across those topics. So it was definitely of interest for me to bring it up on the pod, and so you'd be it. Like I said, it's already up, 97 episode 97, one man band. It's available now. But yeah, man, I'm glad to have you back though, bro. Glad to have you back, and glad you have fun out there in DC.
We got a few minutes left, so
All
I
right, let's do
want
it.
to. Do you have time for a ghost story?
Let's go. No, fuck, dude. Perfect. No, let's go. Let's hear it. Hit it.
All right, so we were in Old Town Alexandria,
Okay.
and beautiful town. But with those old towns, there are ghost stories, and
Okay.
a lot of rumors of ghosts. Kids saying that they see ghosts, and we were even at this one spot where if you take a picture in the window,
Yeah.
the trick is not to use flash, because I used flash and I couldn't see anything. But
Yeah.
all of the people that didn't use flash, you could see eyes looking back at you.
No shit.
From in this church. It was a church. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. There was like 300 bodies in the backyard of this church. It was crazy.
Ooh.
But
Wow.
yeah, but there was this one. Oh, there's two really good stories, so I'm choosing which one to go with.
That's wild. I'd freak
boy.
out if I saw some. Dude, that's like one of my worst fears. Is like looking out the window in a dark night and you see some fucking glowing red eyes. I'd fucking freak, dude. That's like for some reason that right there is just like, oh, I don't know.
For
I fucking
sure.
freak, dude. That's crazy.
So yeah, okay, I'll tell this story. There's two stories, but man, they're both really good, but I'm gonna choose the one. So there was so this girl, she was getting ready to get married, right? And so it's so she's trying on her dress, and she has this long trail, like I don't know what they call the trail behind the dress. Trail.
Yeah, I guess what it's called. Yeah, fuck it, we'll call it.
So she's trying this on, and they have like 300 people at this house. So she's upstairs in her room trying on her dress, and the 300 people are downstairs, and they're like all talking with each other, just a super loud party, right? Well, then all of a sudden her trail hits the fireplace. It's all of a sudden catches on fire, right? And so the groom, he's down there, just like super excited, like he's about to marry the love of his life.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden her dress catches on fire, right? And she's wearing a corset, so she's like, oh my gosh, she's trying to stomp out the fire and all this, and her dress is just whoop, up in flames. So she runs to the door, right? And the humidity of this area was it actually held the door shut, so it swelled up the doorway.
Yeah.
So she couldn't open the door, and she's screaming, and the 300 people downstairs couldn't hear the screams over their own noise.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they realize, oh, there's something wrong. And so then the groom to be ran up the stairs, and he put his hand on the door, and he realized it was red hot, right? And then so all of a sudden he just slams his body into this door and finally opens the door, right? And then he sees his bride to be engulfed in flames, right? And so she just runs right past him, runs out the stairs, and then opens the front door and is by the tree. And so he got a pail of water and doused her, to put the fire out. Well, by that time she'd already died. She'd already, died. And so so the next day was supposed to be their marriage. It turned out being a funeral instead. And so then this guy, he just disappeared, right? And so then finally someone went to check on him, and he was in his bed, dead. And so then the story goes is that all of a sudden at night, people could hear screaming in this upstairs bedroom.
Oh, shit.
And then when they would go to open the door to check if there was somebody in this bedroom, the doorknob would be hot, like there was a flame. And so they'd have to bust open the door, and then that's when they'd feel this woof of air going past them.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Yep.
So this was a place that you actually visited? Like they told you that story? Oh shit.
Yeah, we went there, and they told the kids the story, and it was
that's
pretty
fucking
wild story.
Crazy, dude.
But I wanted to save that for the tip touch.
Dude, that's insane. Like that would be one of those interesting, like for content purposes, right? To really kind of go up there and really kind of see like if we were to get that type of experience. But for me, man, I don't know. I get those like just the heebie-jeebies, because it's like, stuff like that. Like I do believe that stuff is real for me. My personal, like I do believe that shit could go down like that, So it's very interesting, man. That's very interesting.
My grandma had told me about a ghost that she had in her house. He was a friendly ghost, but every time I was there, I mean, she lived in this old house in Lewiston, Idaho. It was built in the early 1900s. And I don't know any of the story to it, but she said, he was there. You could hear him walking around the house. But of all the times I ever stayed there, I never experienced. I've never seen any type of ghost in my life. Never seen anything like that. But I have another friend too, where she used to live in an old house in Kalispell, Montana, and it was an old cowboy that had died in this house, and so you could hear cowboy boots walking across the floor at night. And he'd just be walking around. He was a friendly ghost too. I think his name was Henry the friendly ghost.
Henry the cowboy.
Yep.
Fucking crazy, dude.
So I mean, people I know have
experiences
with ghosts, and so
that's insane. I don't know, that's the type of shit that freaks me out. Like for me, like I'd be down, like I said, to do something like that down the road. Like I said, we've talked about it, right? There is a couple little areas here where we live close by that have that type of history. For example, for one theater down here downtown, where they said it's kind of haunted, that you can hear somebody walking that died there or something, or they got killed because of something. Like there was a fire or something like that, and somebody had died in that theater, and that the legend goes that you can still hear people walking around the upstairs of that theater or whatever. So I don't know, man. Dude. I'm saying we could save that for an episode where your boys truly here going on an investigation, but we'll see. I mean, I guess gonna build up the courage to say fuck it, let's do it.
Imagine that though. I mean, like you don't get that. Like, why would you have to be stuck in this house for like hundreds of years?
Right.
Like, why don't you just get to move on?
I know, right? Just fucking go to the afterlife, go to the other side, and just, hey, man, it's for eternity. Just enjoy eternity after that, man. I don't know. That is a good question. That's insane.
There was one guy telling me, we were kind of having a discussion, and mind you, this is, we didn't get a drink on this trip at all, nothing. So this is just like a Sprite conversation. And so one of the guys was telling me, he says, well, I've got this theory, about when we die, and how we all like, oh, go to the light, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's the first thing a baby sees when they're being delivered? The light. And I was like, luckily I did not have any inebriation going on, because I was like, wait a minute. I go, two things. For one, the population of the earth continues to increase, so explain that.
Yeah.
And two, the light didn't happen until modern times. So, a lot of times, babies were just born in no light. Like they were born in mangers. They were born in tents and teepees and, in like very dark areas. So explain that, hombre.
He was trying to one up you.
so then I got silenced. It was too much, you know. Well, no, I'm not saying I believe that, but
just it was just something off the cusp we wanted to talk about, man. Here we go. The Rhino just fucking put that light out
shut
right
the
there.
fucking guy down. I'm sorry.
Nah, man. Yeah, no. I mean, that's how it is, bro. That's how it is.
I mean, if
You
you would have
gotta
talked about
tell people,
9/11, I would have been all in on it. But,
you would have just scooted your seat so close. So you want to talk about 9/11, huh?
All right, let me tell you some shit. You hear about the gold? You hear about the you hear about the 1.3 trillion that went missing the day before?
The passport that was found on the ground
was supposed
in
to talk
good condition.
about.
Yeah,
right.
The passport, you know, fucking intact, everything
Yeah,
perfect. Like,
yeah,
hey, what's this?
But yeah,
Insane.
that's what we got. It's good to be back, and
Definitely, bro.
feels
Definitely
good to be back. Definitely back on our shit, and got much more to come.
Yeah,
Episode
definitely.
98, right?
Dude,
Two
yeah,
more.
episode 98. We got 2 more till we hit 100. We're definitely going to do something special for the 100th episode, so we're still going to be planning on that. But again, I can't go off ending off an episode without saying, you know, we truly appreciate everybody that's listened to our episodes, even downloaded our episodes, watch our episodes on YouTube. And it's cool to see, you know, the numbers grow, and knowing that, you know, we're being listened to different areas, different states here in the US, even, you know, places like Germany and Belgium. You know, shout outs to everybody over there across the pond. You know, we just want to say thank you for sticking with us since episode 1 up until now. You know, this is not going to stop. It ain't going to stop, and we're going to keep on going, and we're going to definitely keep, you know, trying to entertain all you lovely people out there. And again, just thank you, and we appreciate it very, 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 very much.
100%.
So I'm going to close this one out. I'm glad to have the White Rhino back here in the virtual studio. And again, you know, take care, everybody. Have a good, awesome Friday when this drops, and have a good weekend. But we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, baby.